Hey guys, welcome to Crystal Workshop Cleansing, Charging, and Programming. So, thank you for joining me. Really appreciate the views. I'm really excited to get this information out. Let's just get right into it. I'm not good with introductions. My name's Lex. That's about it. I've been working with crystals for many years. And let's just get in it. All right. So, cleansing. Here's a big one. When do we cleanse? Like, how do you know when to start that? Like, when do you cleanse your crystals? Um, a good rule of thumb is definitely to go with your intuition. But if you're still trying to develop that connection with your intuition, then good rule of thumb is if you're getting it from a place that you're unknown about the energy, if you're unknown about the people that owned that crystal before, or sellers or the proprietors. That's the word. If you're unsure of its origin and you're unsure of who that crystal touched, if you get a bad feeling when that crystal arrives, you open it up and you're just like, ugh, these are definitely times to cleanse. Another good rule of thumb is when you're working with a crystal for like many days or weeks and it's time, like it's taken a lot of energy to work with you too, so it's like both of you kind of need a break. Another thing is my favorite thing to go by is your crystals are an extension of yourself and an extension of your energy. So self-care your crystals as you would self-care yourself. Like no neglect. Keep up on them, check in with them, don't allow dust to settle on them, things of that nature. So you can even look at it as something like very tangible, like, oh, there's dust. That means I need to cleanse my crystal. That goes for the same with his energy too. With the crystal's energy, the energy needs to be cleansed as well. So it's like a sight thing, but it's also its energy. That's kind of like how you know. So yeah, a stagnant crystal collects dust, so imagine what a stagnant crystal would collect energetically. It's going to collect a lot of stagnant energy. So here's some ways to cleanse your crystal's energy. First and foremost, smoke cleansing. I have a piece of Palo Santo here, this little incense. You light this and then it'll billow up your smoke, and you can run your crystal through the smoke. Now, the concept of this is like if you go out and it's a foggy day, you can't see too far ahead of you, you can't hear very well, like everything's like encapsulated in this fog, right? So that's like when you put that in energy terms and like thinking of that when it comes to energy, you're almost like you're blocking yourself. Let's say you're standing in the fog, you're blocking yourself from external influences. You're like amidst this fog, you're in this fog, you can't conceptualize what's outside of it or 5 feet in front of you. So it brings you into a very mindful state, or like right in front of you, what can I see? I can see my feet, like that's about it. So it really like simplifies and gives you a chance to get back to yourself. So the same goes when you smoke cleanse a crystal. You're giving it a time. You're giving the frequency of the crystal time to block out the world around it and the frequencies around it and actually retune to its own true authentic frequency. So smoke cleansing, you can use a Palo Santo incense, you can use an incense stick in general, you can light a candle and allow the smoke to come off the flame and run your crystal through that. Literally, in a pinch, like any smoke will do. It's the concept of smoke is this element of smoke, So, fun little fact, before I quit smoking cigarettes, in a pinch, but we've moved on. But yes, that to get to my point though is like you don't need to buy anything extra for this. You don't need to set aside like 7 hours of your time to do this either. Like, you do want to be completely immersed and mindful while you're doing it, because as you're utilizing this smoke cleansing technique, you are attaching it to an internal intention of that of cleansing. So as you're running the smoke through your crystal collection, you want to be saying these things. If not in your, like, not just in your head, you can say them out loud too. I like to say it out loud because I like check in with everybody. I'm like, how do you feel? How is that? Is that good? You needed that, right? So that would be an example for smoke cleansing. You really want to immerse your crystal in it too. So I like to hold them like this so that the smoke billows up and really encapsulates the crystal. With smoke cleansing, you can also use your smudge sticks. You have like your white sage, yerba santa. I have right here a cedarwood smudge stick, so same concept. You can even like pair, a lot of smudge sticks will have like an intention already going with them based off of the herbs or the foliage and the trees and the flowers, whatever is utilized in the smudge bundle. Those specific natural aspects also have an intention. Everything does. Everything has a symbolism to it. Everything has a meaning to it. So cedarwood, for instance, is really good with, cleansing and ridding old stagnant energy, but it's also really good for protection because cedarwood is typically known as a protection tree. Okay, so you got smoke cleansing. Our second one here is with intention. Now, I utilize this more so now than I did when I first started learning about crystals, because at that point in my life I was also still healing a lot about myself. So it was hard for me to actually be very clear with my intentions because I really wasn't sure what I needed. So when it comes to you doing things with intention and utilizing that as your cleansing tool, you kind of want to make sure that your energy is in a good state, that you've cleansed yourself and did like energy work and balanced your chakras and kind of just got clear-headed. Maybe meditate first before you do this one, so you really like just allow all the stagnancy out of yourself, and then you become more mentally clear and open, and then you can like work with your crystal with more positive intention, especially because like we can't really look at our crystals and just be like, homie, do the thing. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's like, it's a deeper connection. So with it, when you're trying to cleanse utilizing intention, I like to pair it with water or like the smoke and saying these things out loud. I am utilizing this water as I'm running it under a slow dripping tap. I'm utilizing this water to cleanse this crystal. You are now cleansed. You are now clear. Your energy is no longer stagnant. You are free moving. You are at your original frequency. So like saying these things and having that focus, that mindful focus, is what's going to help actually bring that cleansing intention to fruition. So don't do this one if you're in a rush. Smoke cleanse if you're in a rush. Sound cleanse, which we'll get to. Do that if you're in a rush. But don't use intention if you're in a rush. You need to be fully immersed and fully focused and fully mindful to be able to utilize that to its extent. So you can do that under the water. You can even just put it in your hand and you can just say, like, I am cleansing you. Like, this is the purpose the reason why I'm holding you tenderly in my hands is for the purpose of cleansing. You know, you're utilizing this attention and you're attaching it to the crystal itself. You can also use intentional cleansing for your jewelry pieces as well. Especially if you're wearing something that absorbs negative energy for you, like black tourmaline. You want to give that piece space away from you to cleanse. So you can run it through your smoke cleansing, you can do things like that, but sometimes all it needs is like this intention. Like if you wear that black tourmaline to a job and you have a lot of negative coworkers, when you go home, you want to immediately take that off. You don't necessarily need to address it more than that, other than just like taking it off and with intention saying like, I am with intention giving you space away from me to process what you've just absorbed the whole day for me. You know, like I've noticed that black tourmaline in that way kind of just needs its space. If you work with a black tourmaline, let's say like in a healing practice though, for yourself or with others, a good rule of thumb for black tourmaline in general, like specifically black tourmaline, is to reground black tourmaline's energy back into earth. So you would utilize this meditational practice that I actually have up on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. But yeah, so you ground yourself, you put this black tourmaline on the ground, and then you're sitting above it. You don't have to be on the ground. I recommend it, but if you can't handle sitting on the ground, you can still sit with your feet flat on the ground in a chair and have your black tourmaline by your feet, but have the tourmaline on the ground in the grass. And you visualize, you can even visualize your energy being, any debris in your energy being absorbed into that black tourmaline and then reabsorbed from the black tourmaline into earth. And earth will then generate it, cleanse it for you, and put it back out as positive energy. You can utilize earth a lot for cleansing. Like you could just take your crystals outside with you on a nice summer day and like just hang out in the grass with them, and that is cleansing. It's not something you hear a lot about because I'm not sure many people do try that, you know? Like how many people do you know really like hang out with their crystals in the grass? But yeah, that makes them very happy. Just think about it. They are earth. We are earth. We are all part of nature. So putting us back into our original home, our original environment, retuning to the frequency of earth, like grounding for ourselves, but you're grounding your crystals. It's the same concept, and they appreciate it so much. Yeah, just being like excited about your crystals and being, oh, I can't wait to work with you today. Like that's cleansing. Like anything that kind of would really cleanse your energy, like think about it. Like anything that would up your mood or uplift you or cleanse any irritability or any negative stagnant energy in you. Same concept for your crystals. They are an extension of yourself. They are tools for you to use to work together. So that goes your intention. That leads us up into this next one, burying your crystals in sand. Yes, it's a practice. It does work. It does cleanse them. It does bring them back to their original frequency, all of those good things. However, I'm not a fan of getting sand out of every crevice and like all over the floor, and it's messy. So like outside is cool, I guess, but it's just not one of my favorite ones because like sitting them out in the grass is just as cleansing as burying them. Yes, so getting them outside. Here's a tip though. Not all crystals like the sun. Some will prefer the moonlight when we move into our charging portion of this workshop. I'll get to that. But just keep in mind, fluorites, kyanites, amethysts, citrines, a lot of your lighter color high vibrational stones, they will fade if they sit on a windowsill sitting in the sun. You don't want to leave anything just sitting in the sun like that. You know, like, once again, think about you. Would you sit in the sun, no sunscreen, for days on a hot summer day? No, you're going to turn into a lobster. You know, without a break, yeah, you're going to turn into a lobster. Same thing with your crystals. You don't want to leave them in the sun. Their color will be affected. You can put them in the sun for a short amount of time. The thing with everything in our tangible world is we are not separate from what we observe. We are a part of the observation itself. The observer and the observation are the same thing. So if you keep that in mind, now think about like abandoned houses or just anything abandoned. It seems to go back to nature a lot quicker than if like somebody was paying attention to it, right? It like just kind of like falls into itself. So that's what kind of happens with your crystals too. Just putting your attention and your observation upon them is another way to cleanse them. Because not only are you handling it, your energy is now intertwining with the energy of the crystal, now moving your crystal's energy as well, as long as you're free flowing with your energy. So observation is another way to, because a lot of times I'll hear my crystals out of tune, and especially a lot of little ones together, and a lot of times they just really wanted attention. They just wanted to be rearranged or moved or just paid attention to, kind of very much like us. Okay, so you've got also, going with that, giving them attention, little brushies, as well as soft bristled baby toothbrushes. Just give them a little love. Because if we allow dust to settle on them over time, the dust will, I don't have an example with me, but the dust will harden almost, in a sense. It creates a film. Eventually, though, that film isn't just a dust film. It like becomes the coloration of the crystal. It's also what happens if you leave them out in your yard. Like if you wanted to leave them out with the full moon or something like that, like 1 or 2 days is fine. But if you leave that crystal out there for a year or through the seasons, you will see a dramatic change in your crystal's look, its appearance. It's going to be not as clear. It's going to start collecting some of this debris. So yeah, when you're smoke cleansing, intention cleansing, any kind of cleansing, why not take a little brush and also physically cleanse your crystals? Like, they need a bath. Like we do. It's an extension of ourselves. So, I always give them a little brushy brush, especially like ones like this. Like they've got lots of crevices. Like this guy has a lot going on in him. You really want to make sure you get in there and get all the dust out. Stagnant energy is not good. Dust is also positively, like a positive ion, and positive ions, even though they're positive, aren't actually good for us. It's the negative ions that are good for our system and our bodies and things like that. So when you see dust, you gotta get rid of it. Other crystals will also cleanse your crystals, like citrine. You got citrine, selenite. You can literally stick your crystal right on top of this puppy. And once again, combine it with intention. My intention for putting you on top of this big chunk of selenite is so that you get cleansed, bro. I know you've picked up a lot of debris, so like here you are on the cleansing and charging station, you know? So yeah, you could do that with your citrine as well. And another way is sound. So I personally like using singing bowls. My crystals seem to really respond to the singing bowls. Just give it a little whack, and I just kind of run this around their general area. And it's like almost like I can feel them breathing this like relief, like, ah. So sound is definitely a good, what I was saying earlier about like if you're in a rush. Not that we should really do anything in a rush, but if you can't get your mental intention to really like get there, maybe you're having a bad day and you're relying on your crystal's energy more so than they are on your energy at that moment, and that's really okay. I've done that. I've been there. So that's when I bust out my singing bowl. I'm like, dude, my mental capacity isn't where it should be for my energy right now, and I just know that if I were to try to cleanse you with intention or just like, you know, I don't have my full focus. So the singing bowl will kind of help that, and then also is going to help you cleanse and move your energy too. So like as you're working on cleansing them with the singing bowl, you might find that you all of a sudden come to this release of energy as well that you need to, like you didn't realize was so stagnant before. All right, moving on to crystal charging. You'd be surprised. You don't really need to do much to charge your crystal once it's been cleansed. The cleansing is really the imperative part. Most of my crystals respond best to being cleansed and then like left alone. Like you're cleansing them so that they can return to their true authentic frequency, right? Like same with when we're like balancing and aligning our chakras to like come to this one frequency output so we can put it out to attract what we need into our lives and things like that. So like you kind of just want to cleanse them and then like give them some space. Give them some space to kind of like settle into their authentic frequency. So yeah, mine seem to respond very well to that. Especially my older ones, my older crystals, like cleanse them and give them some time and some free space, especially tourmaline, and that in itself will be enough of a charge. You can also use the sun, but like we mentioned before, you don't want to leave them in the sun too long because like things like kyanite, fluorite, they will start to lose their colors, and amethyst. So the crystals love the sun though. It's like super exciting for them. It gleams. It like makes them gleam. It makes them brighten up and they get all, oh, look at us. We're so sparkly in the sun, like, so that is going to charge them. Solar energy is excellent for all of us. So, but then so is, and not any less than, the moon. The moon is just as charging as the sun. So you will see once you start working with your crystals and become very mindful with them and their energy, the more you're around them, you'll start to see that some of your crystals are going to call for the moon and some of your crystals are going to call for the sun. A lot of clear quartzes that I've got, they love the sun. But those milkier quartzes, they like the moon. Smoky quartzes like the moon. Like, it's just, feel it out. But it doesn't mean that it's any less charging. It's still returning them to the original frequency of Earth and the universe and the cosmos, and you're just getting them out in there. Another like little thing to debunk moon and sun charging, windowsills. You can put them on windowsills. Like, you don't need to go out every month and drag your stuff out into the full moon. As much as it's beautiful and like such a practice, and like totally go for it if you're feeling that. But like, if you're not feeling that, rest. Please acknowledge what you need and put them in the windowsill. Like, lunar energy is lunar energy. It's still gonna come through. So yeah. Even, especially if you attach it with that intention. I'm putting you on this windowsill so you can charge in the lunar light, like, there we go. Same with the sun. Like, I like to take them outside in the yard because I tend to sit in the grass a lot. So, like, I'll bring them out with me, let them sit in the sun. Selenite. Not that needs to be cleansed nor charged ever, but a beautiful crystal to take out into the sun to cleanse your energy as well as your other crystal's energy. And it's a good charge up. So sun, moon, you got your citrine. I'll chart, because citrine is the sun crystal, holds the power of the sun. So you can utilize this for any kind of like sun work, any sun charging, cleansing, like for you, get your solar plexus charged via the solar energy. Winter depression, boom, there you go. Charging, you can also charge with intention too. What I mean by that is like, you did a lot of work for me today. I'm going to take you off and I'm going to give you some space away from me. Like this fluctuating wave. I'm out in the public. I'm not a stable source of the original authentic frequency like that of Earth. Earth is like that. So you want to give your crystals, especially if you're wearing them, a little bit of a break from yourself too. Like, you're helping me a lot. You're helping me do these things, helping me heal these aspects of myself, or you're taking a hit for me when I'm going around negative people, things like that. So you can charge with intention. I am allowing you some rest and recharge. It's like when you need alone time. But like acknowledging it and validating it brings it into reality. It makes it become something that into fruition, So you have to have the mental intention attached with the mindful focus, and then I like to say these things out loud, because if I don't say them out loud, then they're only up here, and did my crystals hear me? Probably not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just makes things simpler and brings it into reality. Okay, we're going to move on to programming, because I did mention leaving them alone to charge. I wrote that down way too many times. So programming them. First things first. Learn your crystal. Learn what it already has to teach you. That's going to be coming up in our next workshop, where I'm going to help you guys figure out what each crystal's natural formation means and how you can utilize that natural formation as a healing tool in your own life. For example, this is a twin crystal, specifically with somebody who's kind of like a boss or an authoritative figure, working alongside someone who's maybe like an employee or even a son or daughter, things like that. So this would help a relationship like that. Then you've got one like this with these the two crystal, this twin crystal are more of the same height. So this is more like a romantic partnership or a friendship or just a collaborating partnership. So you can utilize these crystals to help you work in those situations. And we're going to get onto that in our workshop on the 29th, April 29th. So when you get a programmable crystal, which to me is your clear quartzes. Like, your clear quartzes are programmable. Your other guys, they come with very strong, definite properties. So you don't, like, it's like telling them who they are. Like, they are who they are. But your clear quartzes work with you a little bit more better in that aspect. So your clear quartz formation, take that into consideration. So your first step is to attune to your crystal. Have your energy attuned to his energy, to your crystal's energy. And honestly, I'm not one just sit on a feather pillow all day and meditate with my crystal. As, you know, great, I guess, as that sounds, it's just not how I do it. I just hang out with them. I get to know it. I talk to it. I even have it on the couch with me when I'm like watching TV at night. I'm like, what do you think about it? You know, like, you just interact with it and keep it around you as much as possible and be yourself around the crystal, because then you guys are going to merge better. And then you're not like lying to your crystals, so that when it comes time to work together, like, everybody's on the same page. Like my crystals kind of know that I'm a goofy person. Like, they know that I'm goofy. They know that I'm fun. I like to be outside. Like, I feel like very open with that. So it's like you feel like a better connection with them, being honest. You know, like, you don't have to look at online or these videos and be like, oh man, if I want to work with crystals, I gotta like put it in my left hand because it says that's the receiving hand, or put it in my right hand. Like, it's all about how you feel, first of all, and second of all, it's who you are. These are extension tools of who you are. So you got to be who you are. You don't try to simmer into anything like by the book. Like, it's all about you and your connection with the crystal. So hang out with your crystal. Get to know it. By hanging out with it, you're going to start to learn, because we're going to teach you next week. You're going to learn its formations. So you're going to be hanging out with one of your new buddies, and you're going to be like, oh, wow, this is really cool. But then you're going to notice, oh, is that a rainbow inside? Which this one has. It's very hard to see, but yeah, it's got a rainbow inside. And then on top of it, it's also an Isis-faced crystal, which is a very learn how to mother yourself crystal, a nurturing crystal to help you heal mothering wounds. So now, I look at this crystal, it's got the rainbows, which are like abundance, joy, prosperity. Then you've got Isis face, which is healing those mother wounds, learning how to self-nurture and self-love without looking for that validation from an external mother. You want to find it within yourself. So now that I kind of know what this crystal's about, I can now, third step, all right, so I see what you're teaching me and what I need to work on. Now I am going to program you to assist me in that journey. I'm going to program you to assist me with figuring out, maybe what about me and my mother's relationship? What about our relationship? What about nurturing myself? What about, am I not nurturing myself? Am I not validating myself? Like, start to ask yourself these mindful questions before you program this crystal. And then when you ask those mindful questions, then you realize, wow, I am am still waiting for my mother to nurture me, like, or maybe you didn't grow up with a mom. Oh wow, I didn't realize that having that lack of a mother was something that I was internally searching for, and it caused X, Y, and Z to happen in my relationships with other people. Like, it starts to open your eyes. So then you make those connections, you start to heal that aspect of yourself. You're looking at that shadow, you're like, whoa, mind blown. Then you go forward. All right, Crystal, I would like to program you to always remind me to nurture myself, to take care of myself, to stay joyful and happy and high vibe, and because then I can attract my prosperity and my abundance and what I deserve in my life. So that's what you're going to help me do. You're going to remind me of those things. You take its formation and the energy it's trying to teach you and incorporate it into your programming of how you're going to work with the crystal going forward. Then, you can also do like a free programming, like this buddy, he probably, if I looked at him long enough, I could find a story. But just looking at him is like a regular crystal point. So you can also be like, all right, this guy's kind of a fresh slate. I still want to do step 1 and 2, which is hang out with him and get to know what his inner formations are telling me, because then that secures that connection. But then I can then take him and be like, all right, I am programming you to help me let go and let God, like that's a good one because like everyone struggles with that, right? Like, just give it up to your higher power. You don't need to stress about it. You don't need to worry about it. You don't need to overthink about it. Just give it up to your higher power. So you can program that crystal to help you remember to give it up to your higher power. Once you make that program though, because you're focusing your intention and you're bringing it into reality with your throat chakra, with your speech, and you're having this nurturing, like, intimate moment with this crystal as you're programming him. I like to just go like this and, like, look at him and, like, put him in there. Because, like, it's like a hug. It's like, we're doing this together, right, little guy? Like, like, whatever feels right to you. Because it's you making these connections. You need to connect with this. Because this is now forever his programming. You can also reprogram him at another time after you cleanse and clear. Cleanse, clear, reprogram. So yeah, now he's programmed for that. You can also program crystals like this. Let's say trusting your intuition is something you're working on. So, because like I'm not good at drawing. You could use pictures for this too, but trust my intuition. You can literally write it down. Trust my intuition. And take a particularly clear quartz like this one, or a tabular crystal, because tabular crystals are flat and wide and you can see through them. The point is, you take your intention, you put your crystal over top of it, and you can read this through your crystal. It's a little hard on this one, but so then I will look, it's way better like this. So yeah, I will be looking at this crystal. I see my words, my handwritten words behind it, and you now are starting to merge these two energies together. So you're looking at it, you want to keep staring at the crystal, staring at the imagery behind it, and keep doing this until you can close your eyes and still see the imagery, the picture, not just the thought, but like the handwritten in pink, like I'm picturing each handwritten stroke. And so you eventually have it seared into your mind's eye, and once it's seared in that, it's seared in him. Same thing goes though, you can unprogram by cleansing and clearing, and then you can reprogram afterwards. It's really good to say these things out loud so you kind of like know what you're like, because like I said, intention is everything. You're utilizing these outward things out of your intention, like these tools, like the handwriting or the smoke or the things like that. You're utilizing those things to help connect your intention, but your intention is really the only thing you actually typically need. I like to do both together, because like then you're bringing it into your tangible world. Then you're connecting everything all together. So yes, you can program them that way. Speak to your crystals. I know that sounds weird, but talk to them. See what comes up in your brain as you're speaking to your crystal. And that's going to show you what this crystal already has in store to help you heal with. You know what I mean? Like, it already has something to offer you. You have to just get mindful, grounded, and allow it to enter your mind. And honestly, hanging out with them. Because if you can meditate and you can sit with it, and a lot of people, if you've been doing this for years, you sit with your crystal in meditation, you might get that realization like right away. I'm more of like a mindful moments person. Like, I'll go throughout my day and pick up these little puzzle pieces that when I put them together kind of reveals my realization. And I like it better that way because it has more context to it. Like, because like, I don't know, I like science. So if like a thought comes into my head and it's like the answer to a problem, I'll be like, but why? And it's like, it's because of what I'm doing in front of me, or because of a crystal that I'm working with. And then like I see that Isis Space crystal and I'm like, oh, it's because I need to nurture myself more. Like, so do that. Hang out with them. Question yourself. Question your thoughts. Not in a self-doubt way. In a, let's go down this rabbit hole. Let's figure it out. So yeah, that's pretty wrapping us up for cleansing, charging, and programming. Remember, intention is everything. So, and also remember that your crystals are an extension of yourself. So, if when in doubt, if you're cleansing yourself, you should probably cleanse your crystals. You know what I mean? And everything must be done with love, nurturing, care. Treat your crystals like your friends. Like, they are your friends. So, be kind and patient. And try to open your mind, and trust comes into your mind when you're working with your crystals. All right. This has been fun. Be sure to join us. We're going to do the next one of these is going to be on Zoom. I just pre-recorded this one because I had an Earth Day celebration event that I'm doing with my local community. So feel free to post any questions. If you want me to elaborate on anything, I am more than happy to create more of these videos. So just let me know. All right. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.